I just asked myself the question, and it was a really definitive moment in my life, that if I was at that rock bottom because I hated myself, what would it look like if I loved myself instead?
Today I have with me Anna Rose. I am super excited for this conversation. This woman is a serial entrepreneur. She's just let go any expectation, and God delivered me what I needed anyway.
I will never close my heart. I will always keep it open. I will never harden. I will soften.
Because you modeled self-sacrifice.
Yeah. Look, I'm living for this conversation. I'm like, this needs to be on every woman's ear, and it's going to activate.
Welcome to Unmasked Founders with Leslie Kay. This is the podcast that goes beyond the highlight reel of entrepreneurship. Instead of focusing on the accolades and achievements, this show explores the real moments that shape founders, the challenges, the breakthroughs, and the lessons that transform both the business and the human behind it. Hosted by me, Leslie Kay, an entrepreneur who has built empires and discovered the cost of success. Unmasked Founders is a space for honest conversations about growth, resilience, and staying true to who you are. Whether listeners are just starting out or scaling to the next level, this is where real stories are told. Welcome to Unmasked Founders, a conversation with me, Leslie Kay.
Hi guys, and welcome to Unmasked Founders. Today I have with me Anna Rose. I am super excited for this conversation. This woman is a serial entrepreneur. She's a coach. She's got a movement. She has a fitness brand. She has a podcast and content studio in the Gold Coast. She is a true inspiration, and basically we're dating the same man but different. So I really, really, really love Anna and her story. So Anna, welcome to the show.
Thank you, beautiful woman. What a privilege to be here.
It's been so lovely. We obviously came and recorded in the studio. We had a brief conversation about your partner. We're both dating tall chocolate men who have ginormous hearts. Well, not dating, we're both engaged to.
I was like, speak for yourself. We're Beyonce. We're fiancé.
Yeah. I don't have my ring yet, but we're fiancé too. So we're both engaged to tall chocolate men who, even in what I can see, have the purest of hearts. So I really love that correlation in our story. And when I met you and following yours, I have to get this woman on, because you, in my view, you really are the embodiment of, I get to fucking have what I want, and I'm not going to stop until I've got it. And I just got full chills. That's like everything I live for and everything I want women to receive from this podcast. Yeah. So that being said, give us a little spiel on who you are and how you got here, and then we'll get into some juicy questions.
All right. That question always slightly terrifies me because it's so big for me. But ultimately, I'll try to condense it very short, but the highs that you see today, the greatest way that I can explain this is ultimately the woman that I am today, which is the success and the love and the abundance and all of the goodness, comes from a life of self-loathing, self-hatred, and despair. So ultimately I would not change a thing about my life, but where I have come from is a very different world to the life and the world that I live in today. That's a huge part. I mean, that is my story, but who I am and what I've achieved and what I've grown and the companies that I've launched and am now scaling are ultimately from the decades that I lived prior to changing my life at 22. But I was a woman that grew up in sexual and domestic violence and hated myself ultimately. You're going to have to put a trigger warning now. I don't know, like,
I don't need it. People listening to the podcast.
I don't know your body, but in that, I don't know how. I also don't give a fuck, because if you invite me on, you're going to get what you're going to get.
Good, perfect.
I had a decade plus of physical and sexual violence inflicted upon me, and young girls who have that, and young boys, but in my experience as a young woman, I grew up very, very broken and very, very self-loathing, and did all of the things that a woman who hates himself would do. So abused my mind, abused my body, abused my spirituality, and just until that kind of crescendoed into a rock bottom at 22. And I was I was told, you can go through that door, literally in the hospital. You can go through that door, which is, mental health, and we want to look after you. And I respected that so much. Or, we can send you home, but you're going to go home on a lot of medication, and, someone has to sign you out, basically. And I took option 2 because I didn't want to go through those doors personally. And got home, sobbed to the point where I was, couldn't breathe and drooling because I knew why I had gotten myself to that point. And it was because I hated myself.
Oh.
And rocking myself, violently that night on the bed, essentially, I just asked myself the question, and it was a really definitive moment in my life, that if I was at that rock bottom because I hated myself, what would it look like if I loved myself instead? Oh. And I was 22. I'm 38 in a minute, like 2 months. And I had absolutely no example around me because my life, was DV and just drugs and alcohol and all of those things. But I was like, well, I'm going to give it a go. We didn't have social media. There was no self-love coaches that I could go online and look up. But the story goes, I actually literally related it to moving my body, moving like I love myself, because I was like, well, people that have self-respect are people that, exercise. And so that's ultimately where I started, which makes sense when people start to hear the wider story why I now have an activewear brand, because I say movement didn't just change my life, it saved my life. So yeah, self-deprecating, self-loathing, self-hating to a rock bottom. And I asked myself that definitive question of what if I loved myself instead? And it was not fucking overnight, let me tell you. It was it still is, I'm 16 years into that journey since that night. But I'm certainly a woman who went from rock bottom to being a woman who knows herself, trusts herself, backs herself, and loves herself, and very unapologetically. Your intro was beautiful, and I was like, I claim it all for myself. I do so unapologetically. I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks about me, says about me, writes about me, wants from me. It's like, I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna do it exactly as I please, with love and intention and all of the things. And what you want to do or say, you can do it over there. You know what I mean?
Truly.
It's been a beautiful journey.
I love this so much. And well, maybe not the abuse part, but I can see so many through lines. I'm very same, big T trauma. Parents are drug addicts and alcoholics, grew up in a lot of violence, a lot of sexual assault from family members. I kind of almost want to celebrate that you did this at so young, at 22, because what I tend to find, and what was true of my story, is I'm only really 6 years into my awakening and my self-love journey, because I masked it with success. So I pretty much packed my trauma and just ran into success and used that to mask and to hide and to avoid actually doing any of the deep work, because my story that I was telling myself was, well, it can't have been that bad because look at how successful I am. And if I had trauma, I wouldn't be this successful. Knowing what I know now, I used work and achievement to hide from the pain and the self-loathing and the self-hate. So very, very similar. Anyone that's listening, just do the work sooner. I promise you, it feels like it's a lot at the time, but on the other side, everything just gets a million times better. And I think I avoided it for so long because I was afraid I couldn't rebuild, or it would break me, or there was this story that the world accepted the masked version of me, hence Unmasked Founders. The world accepted the 8 times world record holding recruiter, the multi-million-dollar business, the creation of this narrative of who I thought would be accepted in the world. And for me, there was so much fear around, well, if people knew, my ex-husband, how much I'd created this persona. My ex-husband, and we were together 10 years, didn't know I was sexually assaulted. I didn't even tell him. He knew my family had a lot of violence and drug abuse, but I'd never even told him the depth of the pain that my childhood caused, because I was so determined to just run with the new narrative. I was raised by my grandparents, and my nana would always say, no one cares, just get on with it. And so this was woven into my identity that, well, I'm not going to talk about the past because it's in the past. And I had all this evidence that was saying, well, it doesn't matter anyway because you have all of this success. And then I literally woke up one day and it was like I was in a stranger's life. I had the husband, the $1 million business. I was 120 kilos. So I was in this body that I'd just abused because I actually hated myself.
Well, that was your outlet, right?
Yeah, truly.
I hear that and I'm like, well, there's your outlet. Yeah.
yeah. And no intimacy in the relationship. So my outlets were food and my clients love me, so I'm just going to spend all of my time in work because I get validation there. And to the outside world, everyone's celebrating me because, oh, wow, you're so successful and you've built such a big, great company. And I didn't feel emotion. I didn't love myself. Nothing. I was literally looking back. I didn't let myself cry because you don't cry. You just get on with it. And so it was such a journey to, one, see the mask and see that I'd created this persona that I didn't even like anyway. And then to be on the path to do the work. So I love that you shared the whole timeline of your story, because I think a lot of people, like you were saying, like see you at the end and just assume it's always been this way. And I think as well, because you've been doing the work for, God, 15 years or whatever it is, 20 years even. 16 years. It's like, I think it's really important for people to understand that, like, I'm 6 years in and the journey is always happening, and I wish I started sooner. Like, I wish I left high school and rather than getting a job at 17, I actually went and healed. So, you know, a part of what I do now, and I operate a not-for-profit, is I had a high six-figure exit from my 8-figure recruitment business and was able to take a year off and heal. Most people don't have that privilege or the money to do so. You know, I'm like business class flights to the South America to sit ayahuasca. Most people don't even get to take 2 weeks off to go to therapy, let alone to do those depths of healing. So I would love to speak about, what do you see the most, and perhaps you've done this as well or noticed this in you, it's like, where have you created an identity that is like driven your actions and the way you show up in the world, and how did you uncover that?
Yeah, beautiful question. It's interesting because I can relate with what you're saying in essence to the mask somewhat, or more so the identity piece right now. So I want to kind of break that into two sections when I'm talking, because what you've just said is so powerful. And I always say, and let me tell you, I don't think for me, I always speak on my behalf because I never want to, like, if someone projects onto me, that's your stuff, not mine. But for myself, I do fundamentally believe that we don't always have to be in the healing work. I'm at a point in my life now, like I said, I'm almost 38, where I am done. I feel whole. But in saying that, I'm like, fuck, I'm about to enter motherhood. So I'm like,
it's interesting
to see, like, reparent myself and like really see where the triggers are that I haven't dealt with, for sure.
I want to actually say I agree. I don't seek healing anymore. But I'm 12 months into my relationship, and it's been some of the deepest work I've done, because no one has ever seen me as raw and authentic as he has. But
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I didn't seek it. I was the same. I'm like, right, I don't need any more healing or do any more work. But life, it's like, for me, it feels like I was almost like seeking healing, like I was seeking success. And then I just let go any expectation, and God delivered me what I needed anyway.
Yeah, which is the work, right, when you're in flow. But with the identity piece, so the short answer is, if people are like waiting for that moment, ultimately every single time I have done a quantum leap, or not even just like a micro leap, and I've wanted to, like, the goal or the feeling or the achievement piece is there, the relationship, whatever it is, which is a big one for me, because I met Ryan the King 3 years ago. And what I was going to say is, as much as I healed 16 years ago, in fact, the greatest, deepest, most important work that I ever did in my whole life was only 4 years ago.
Yeah.
When I uncovered wound work.
Yeah.
And, had gotten in a narcissistic, toxic, violent relationship at 33 and got out of that. And was like, how the fuck did I end up here and in this? As Anna Rose, right? The girl that everyone knows and loves and follows, and 7 figures and blah, blah, blah. And I went and did the work. I went to a psych, and I was like, help me see what I'm missing here. And she said, oh, honey, you've just got some wounds, like we all do. And so that was a big identity piece for me that changed my life. So I want to say, like, although we are, yes, to some extent, you know, we're always in the work. We also don't have to be. So
really,
there's that. But the big quantum leap for me, or the micro leaps, or wherever I've wanted to go next, and relationship is a really beautiful one. After I had done the healing, the identity piece for me is I work out who she is first every single time, and I become her before I'm ready. And I mean, I work that out at a literal list level. And so to give a really powerful example, I can give two for business.
Oh yeah, I love this.
When I was seeking the king, when I'd gone and done the work, and like I've been married for 16 years, phenomenal relationship, great guy, just not the one.
Same.
Soulmates. And, you know, I always say we had a soul contract. We ended that soul contract. And I think this happens to a lot of people. I could go on a whole.
Yeah, I feel we could go on so many tangents.
But I'm like, and beautiful. And I think most people can recognize that in their own relationship. And it's, you know, because society says, but you've been with him so long, or, but he's kind, etc. They say. Anyway, I did not. And that was another really hard and heartbreaking decision. But then I got in the narcissistic relationship, I got out of that, healed all of it. Then when I was ready to call in the king, I was like, well, I've never done this before. You know, I've read about it in the books. I've seen some people online. I don't know if it's even real. Like, you know, if he wanted to, he would. Is that all really real? Like, when you know, all of those things. I'm like, I don't know. I think it's a crock of shit, but let's fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
So I wrote a list of, you know, who I wanted in the king, right? A literal list in my diary. And it was comprehensive, and it was not just attributes, but it was also how I wanted him to make me feel, most importantly. And I remember looking at that list. This is 2022. And I remember looking at the list and going, well, that man certainly has a fucking list of his own. Like, you know, I had body of an athlete, spirit of a warrior, mind of a master, for example. And I'm like, well, hang on, that king deserves a queen. And, you know, yes, by all accounts, I would identify with that ultimately. Like, you know, I looked after myself. I had my own money. I was successful in all of my own ways. But I was like, well, wait a minute. What kind of list would he have, right? This isn't the identity piece. This is the work. This is identity.
Really, yeah.
And I looked at that and I was like, well, let's see. And so I sat and I wrote out my list. And I was like, well, she would have, for me, it was, can't remember definitively, but it was like, I remember spirit of Gorgo, body of an athlete, and the mind of Cleopatra. I remember, right? For example, just one thing, and on and on and on. How would she make him feel? And I was not her. When I looked at that list, I was a lot of good things, but I was not her by any means. I was still very in my masculine, which is not bad. It's how I manage 5 companies. Like, I love my masculine. I honor my masculine. And when I looked at the list, I was like, a king doesn't want to, you know, fuck a masculine.
Yes.
He wants the feminine. And so then that was all the work I started to do. And then I started to act as if.
Yes.
I started to be her before I was ready to be her. I started to emulate the values and the qualities and the attributes that was literally on that list before I was ready. And Ryan I'm like, well, he can't tell his story because he's not here. But when he tells the story, we just spotted each other on a dance floor out dancing one night. But literally when we connected, he's like, that I'd never felt energy like that. Like, the energy was just so different. I'm like, no, of course it was. Like, I was just so set. He told me this very early on. And I was like, but of course it was. Like, he's like, you were never like another woman I met. And I'm like, no, but of course I wasn't, because I had a fucking list. And you know, so I wasn't focused on his identity. For example, I was focused on mine. And so the identity piece for me is whenever, and then I'll give one in business, but whenever I'm ready for the next iteration of myself, whoever that is, motherhood is a big one for me right now.
Yes.
And I've spent one entire year softening into that identity. I will literally create who is that woman, right? We always talk about in coaching, like the becoming the woman you were born to be. Great tagline, super sexy soundbite. But what does that look like, feel like, sound like for you as the woman? I write the list and then I become her. And I remember for Talk Collective, my activewear brand, I wasn't ready for it, right? I remember wanting to launch it and I was terrified. It was it was my fourth company in an industry, a completely different industry again. I'd never been in e-commerce. I certainly had never been in fashion and apparel. And I was like, I'm good, but I don't know if I'm that good. And I was like, what would a woman, my vision is enormous. I want to impact 1 million women to move like they love themselves around the globe and give back millions in profit along the way. It's a business model that's never been done before. That was fucking terrifying. And I remember this is wild and such a big story, but I remember looking at the list. I wrote the list out and she was fearless, right? She was unstoppable. She moved before she was ready. I had the list and I was like, well, how am I going to become her? Because I can't move the needle forward. This is how I felt. I was like, I don't know this identity piece with this. This feels so new. I've never been more scared, truly, to start a company than that one. And that's when, because people always go, why did you become a solo skydiver? And I was like, because I wanted to launch a global activewear brand. And they're like, that's fucking insane. I'm like, no, I know it is, but that's the level
of the fearlessness. Yeah.
All right. A woman that is fearless and unstoppable and moves before she's ready, she's jumping out of airplanes. Yeah. So that's what I did. I went and it might sound crazy to some, but it's like, it works for me.
True.
So I remember literally launching myself out of an airplane. I did this in 2023, became a solo skydiver. And I remember, I still am, right, being terrified. They open the door, you're going at you have 14,000 feet in the sky. The wind is deafening. And I remember leaping out over and over by myself of that airplane. And I say with like a sheet and some fucking sticks or whatever, like some floss. And I remember thinking on one of my landings, like, fuck it, this is good. Launching an activewear brand, done.
Done.
By the end of that week, I was like, boring, like a global activewear brand, right? Because I'm like, beautiful. I've become her.
Yes.
Like, I am fearless. I am unstoppable. I will move before I'm ready. This is simple. So it really matters. Like in women's, so no matter where we're at, I always say, no matter what we want, no matter who we want to become, it's different for every single woman. And it's beautiful that it's your becoming, but it's such an easy thing to say, like, become the woman, you've always been born to be, or become the entrepreneur, or become the wife or the mother. What does that actually feel like for you? What does that sound like for you? How does she earn? How does she show up? How does she speak? How does she hold herself? How does she walk into rooms, right? How does she fuck? How does she show up? What car does she drive? Like, write that all down and then do it.
Truly.
And it will feel terrifying and stretchy and you won't be ready, but that's how you become her, because you are acting as if before you are already her. And that's the piece, right? That's the time collapse. Like I said, literally, I would have truly talked myself out of launching Talk Collective whenever I did 2 years ago, had I not have written the list first. And I'm like, fuck, I know I'm unstoppable, like easy words to say. But I was like, no, this feels so scary. I've never felt this fear before. Like, what do I do with this fear? And I'm like, jump out of an airplane. Like, because I remember thinking, speaking on stage doesn't scare me. Like, sharks don't scare me. Like, I was like, so what can I do? And it was like, jump out of an airplane. And I did it. Now, for another beautiful woman, it could literally be walking into the gym for the first time by herself in her life. Or walking into the gym before she feels ready, right? She might be having a panic attack in the car. But the simple act of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, opening the door, walking in, realizing you won't die.
Yeah.
Right? And even if it's just getting on the treadmill and walking for 10 minutes, you have just given yourself social proof that you are becoming that woman. Like, you just took the first step.
Quick pause. Are these conversations resonating with you? Do you finally feel seen in your business journey? This is the entire mission of Unmasked Founders. To strip back the highlight reel and tell the raw truth about multi, 6, and 7-figure success. We're here for the emotional costs, the days you want to quit, and the breakthroughs that follow. And we can bring you these essential conversations thanks to the support of our incredible partners, Cacao Collective and the OE Agency. These are the businesses who empower founders to keep going, providing the systems and the professional polish you need when you're busy navigating the emotional storm. If you love what you're hearing, don't miss an episode. Hit that subscribe button right now and check out Cacao Collective and the OE Agency in the show notes. Now, let's get back to it.
Well, it's the self-love part that you were speaking to, because self-love erodes when we lose self-trust.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the micro moments of, well, I said I'm going to go to the gym, but I'm too scared. And every morning that you put that off, or every day that you put that off, you're essentially telling your subconscious that you can't trust yourself, which is an act of not loving yourself. So it is and I speak to similar, it's like, don't set an alarm for 6 a.m. if you're not a morning person and say you're going to go to the gym, because you'll snooze every other morning and you're reinforcing the belief that you're never going to make it to the gym.
Yeah.
So do it at lunchtime, do it in the afternoon, do it when you actually have time, and go and do 10 minutes and build from there. So very similar. So you're speaking to this, like, build the list, take the action, but do the micro, not the macro. Exactly. I mean, for you, it was jumping out of a plane, but you're right. For someone else, it could be a small incremental, I'm just going to become this woman more and more and more. So the internal dialogue stops being, I can't trust myself and I'm just going to fuck this up again like I do everything else. And it starts to build that evidence that it's possible for you to change.
And I'll give a tiny example, but it's so important for me. I'm busy at the moment, right? We do run. I'm sitting in my beautiful office that is a 400 square meter podcast event photo shoot studio on the Gold Coast. That's one business. There's 4 others, and one's, I was just in China for my activewear brand. Like, it's intense, and I want to become a mother. We're about to start IVF, and so when I was looking at all of that, I was like, well, so we've been in a 5-month protocol now. A huge proponent of that protocol is food, right? It's like we're gluten-free, dairy-free, caffeine-free, fun-free, gluten-free, and I looked at the things and it was like, it's cooking fresh, whole food 3 times a day, every single day, like no food prep, essentially. Like, you get your ass in the kitchen and you cook. And for some, this might sound weird, but it was a beautiful growth, stretchy period for me, because I was like, I'm a busy boss babe. Ryan cooks a lot. I cook, but I'm like, it's kind of whoever's busiest at the time, the other will cook. We're an amazing team. But I committed. I was like, no, that's not going to be how this is for this program. That's the commitment we made. We will both be in the kitchen and we will do it together, because it's about connection as well. And so again, when I've got my motherhood list, and it was like making space and time. Okay. So little things, saying no to business things. So I actually could get in the kitchen and stop for the day in those moments and cook a meal. Like, that's the identity piece for me now. Right. So yes, it can be jumping out of a plane, and also it can actually be finding the time to stop and prioritize finding space for motherhood in my life as well. And that's the new identity piece. So I'm going from raw to this softening and surrendering, which feels scarier than the raw.
Truly, right? Truly.
Like letting go of control, surrendering. That's terrifying for me.
Truly. And similar story throughout your whole story with calling in the king. I was like, I resonate. And I was just reflecting that I wonder how many women would write the list for the man, but not write the list for themselves, because I think this can feel outside of ourselves. So we're going to write the list. And I did a similar process when I was calling in my partner, Lucky. I was like, so I studied Tantra and polarity and all this stuff, but for a period of time I was very much in the self-expression, like not naked but half naked all over social media. And I would say to myself, like, I'll become a claimed woman when I'm claimed. And literally the year before me and Lucky met, I was like, no, I need to be in the energy of the wife now. I can't be this fun-loving, free-spirited, travel the world, do these Tantra retreats and expect to meet a guy that isn't love some Tantra communities, but, like, I didn't want a Tantra fuckboy. And all I was meeting was Tantra fuckboys. And I was like, that's not my husband. And I'm like, but I'm showing up as the single, fun-loving, free, travel the world tantrika, basically. And so I was similar. I was like, I have to become the wife now. So I stopped traveling as much. I took down anything that was any form of provocative on my social media. My photo shoots went less about expressing, almost like you can feel the sexual energy that comes through photos. So I moved away from, like, that reclamation was important because I was so sexually suppressed in my previous marriage.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to call in a husband acting like that. And not that there's anything wrong with it. I think it's a necessary journey. But I too realized, well, I need to be in the energy of being his wife already, or why would you? Why would you want to be with someone when that's their persona? So I love that. And then I was reflecting when you were talking, I don't think enough people write a list for their future, like this identity envisioning, and then become that woman.
Mm-hmm.
Because so many women I talk to, especially if they're single, will write a list of, this is the man I'm calling in. And I did the same, and I did a similar process to you. I was like, cool, I need to be the opposite. Hence where I identified that I wasn't being a wife. I was definitely being I was celibate, so I wasn't.
You're the hoe. No.
Yeah, no, well, I was celibate. So I was in the energy of a tantrika, but didn't sleep with anyone or even hook up with anyone for 4 years. But the persona and perception was full tantrika. And I was like, oh, I need to be wife. So that was important. But I really don't think enough people look at, okay, I want $1 million business. Who is that woman? What decisions does she make? How do I become fearless? How do I move before I'm ready? So love that you've given that. I would love to dive into, these things are all great. And tell me about a time where you felt like nothing was working and you were like, fuck, I can't do this. I give up. And what was it like in those moments? And then how did you move from that into this?
I can give one from literally the other month. Because, I always say when you play bigger, you risk bigger. When you spend more, you earn more, like all the things. So there's always this really savage juxtaposition, which I'm obsessed with, right? We cannot have lightness without dark. We cannot have joy without pain. I fundamentally believe that. But literally like maybe 3 months ago, maybe less. No, it was probably about 3 months ago, October, November, somewhere around that time. So I started Talk Collective. It's to do with one of my companies, Talk Collective, activewear brand. I always say to everyone, I recommend whatever you want to do it. I will never say to someone, don't get into apparel or e-commerce, but be fucking ready is all I'm saying. It is the hardest thing I've ever done. It is the most stressful thing I've ever done. It is the stretchiest thing I've ever done. Holding obviously stock, the risk, the cost, etc. Right? So context. I had an amazing manufacturing manager. So I'd sort of been going between. So instead of having direct contact with factories,
yes,
I was having, she was the proxy ultimately. So the factories didn't invoice me, she did. I have still to this day as well, not taken $1 from Talk Collective. The rest of all of my companies support and nourish me as the CEO in that company to run it. And I got an invoice, I already knew I wanted to negotiate lowered cost of goods, but it was hard. I'd been with her 2 years. It was hard. I'd never, 2 years into business, I still had never directly negotiated with China, had direct relationships with manufacturers, etc. And I just got to a point where I had not a breakdown, but a breakdown moment in the boardroom where I was crying to Ryan. And remember 3 months ago, just being like, I can't fucking do it. I don't want to do it anymore. I cannot fucking do it anymore. And it was don't say anything, don't try to fix this, just hold me in this moment that I feel broken. I'm so sick of killing myself for no profitability yet. I know the vision, I know I can get there, but I'm fucking done. It's so hard. But I knew the bottleneck, and the bottleneck was high cost of goods. And I knew that I had an enormous lever that I could pull, which was taking manufacturing back entirely 100% control, finding new manufacturers, which I've been working on for several months, and just doing that. Anyway, so I was snot crying in the boardroom, and Ryan did the beautiful thing and just listened and held me. And then I literally had to go out to a meeting moments later, and I was like, just give me some time and I know I'll figure this out. Anyway, what are we, 2.5, 3 months later? And I remember making a decision. I said, because my life mantra is I will never get bitter, I will get better. That's it, full stop. I will never close my heart. I will always keep it open. I will never harden. I will soften. And so yeah, in that moment of just feeling crippled by anxiety, fear, stress, overwhelm, I was like, well, I know I can make decisions, and I know I just have to like take one little step at a time and overcome this enormous obstacle, and I'll get through it. And anyway, 3 months later, I found my manufacturer. I've switched. I have like flown to China to meet the team, and that was an incredible experience, one that I never would have had if I hadn't had that breakdown moment in the boardroom. And if I had have quit as well, if I had just gone, you know what, I've got 4 other companies, this is too fucking hard, I'm done. Like, I'm just going to sell it, which I could absolutely do. And so, yeah, I was like, no, I can do this because I am a woman that gets better, not bitter. I am a woman that is fearless and unstoppable and can make moves before she's ready. I have proven that to myself. And so, yeah, negotiated lower cost of goods. I've been thrown in the deep end with learning, just with like everything. I've taken back 100% control. So I exited another staff from the company, exited the manufacturer, and I'm like starting again. And it's been the greatest thing that I've ever done in business. So I suppose like the biggest lesson in that for everyone is like, no matter what, again, you see the glory, you never know the story. So right now I'm like flying to China, like new products are about to drop, like it's all looking amazing. And I shared this on my stories as it was happening. Like, guys, I'm crying in the boardroom. I'm fucking over this. Like, I don't fake anything. You get what you see with me. But the beautiful gift in this for everyone is like, you're going to have challenges and obstacles and setbacks, no matter the level you get to. New levels, new devils. And for me, like, I hope that's it for a little while. But yeah, it was just the power of not stopping essentially and not quitting when it got really fucking hard.
Yeah, I love this. And I think it's such an important message because, and I know you share a lot, but for people that might be new to you,
strap in.
Yeah, strap in. Love it. Fucking here for the behind the scenes exposés. But I think people have an assumption, especially for those that might have big personal brands and big followings like you do, that it's easy. Yeah. And I really want to distill some of this narrative that like overnight success, because it's never overnight success. And this belief that I feel people have, and I like 4 years ago would have been the same, of like some people just have it easier and some businesses are just easier. And once you've learnt your lesson or you've built or you've grown, like then it stops and everything just gets easy. Because I think especially if you're spiraling in like things not working out, or, you know, you're having a hard month or a hard week or a hard day, there can be this almost like assumption that it's never going to get better and that one day it's just going to get easy. And I just think like literally what you just spoke to is like we just get more resourced, we get better people in our corner, like partners that listen to us and hold us when we cry and buy us roses and bring us chocolate. So yeah, I think I just want to bring this awareness piece to those that might be listening that are in a season of what feels like a struggle, that your greatest move could be just around the corner, and please just don't give up. Like for me, when I hear the stats that less than 2% of women ever hit 7 figures in business, the biggest, less than 2%. And it honestly, it's like less than 10% I ever hit high 6 figures either. Like it's most women. Yeah. And in America, I think it's slightly higher actually. I think it's like 1.2 in Australia and only like 1.9 in the States. Yeah, insane. But I have this view, like coaching the women I coach, being in the work that I'm in, and you know, the coaching containers I'm in, that we just give up easier. And you spoke at the beginning to this masculine piece of like, you know, I'm the same. I'm like boss babe, and then as soon as my partner comes home, it's like I don't have a mind anymore. I'm like, baby, please make all our decisions for us.
Yeah, amen.
Oh, it's so good, so refreshing. Amen to the men that can submit a boss babe into being mindless. It's so good.
Yeah.
But deepen this conversation around resilience, and for me, it's also like well-resourced women, and whether that's well-resourced with a partner or a business partner or staff members or virtual assistants or whatever it might be, because I see a few things playing out. This belief that you're just not going to make it, and it's always going to be hard. And you know, especially those that are converting from corporate jobs maybe into their first 2 to 5 years in business, where sometimes it can go all the way up and then come down again. And I see so many women just quit on the down. Well, no, maybe you're just readjusting so you can rise again stronger and better and have better foundations. And what you were speaking to then for me was this, God, you're years into business. You've been in the work for years, and you're
13 years. I've been in business for 13 years, which is an important part of the story.
Yeah. And it's like you still had a moment, and rather than be like, fuck, this is, I mean, I love that you gave yourself the moment to feel the, I can't do this. I'm the same. I give myself 24 hours. I'm like, right, cry, pretend you're going to quit because you know you won't. But it's so interesting to be in my mind, because part of me is like, fuck this, I give up. And I hear this voice like, no, you're not.
Here we fucking go again.
Literally. But I give myself the space to feel what I'm feeling just so I can express it. And then I often find clarity on the other side. So for anyone that's listening that's like, you know, maybe they are 1 to 2 years in, they're hitting their 100K and they're like, yes, things are going to get easier. I have a rhythm. What are some tools that you've, you know, not all of us have supportive partners that just get it. Yeah. So if there's women listening that are like, oh, I feel like I'm in a season where things just aren't working and I think I need to quit, what would you say to those women to like give them some inspiration or some faith that you just need to find a way through?
Yeah, it's so big. It is such a big conversation, and you said something in there and I was like, God, that's so true, like reflecting. And it's sad, but it's okay. It's like we as women do inherently give up a little easier, and I will honor that. I believe that it is because, you know, if we trace our literal cells and DNA and genetics back to the whatever age like the beginning, we were, you know, beautiful wives and mothers in caves, and our job was to keep the young alive, and the men would go out, right? So when we are now, you know, we are women here as raw, and we go out in the workforce or start a business predominantly, right? That's the conversation. When we are hit, we are still the feminine, like, right? And so we are still like these beautiful, intuitive, emotional vessels that feel, and it's harder. So I think fundamentally, first and foremost, like recognizing and naming that, that as a feminine in business, it's our superpower though.
Yes.
And almost changing that relationship where it's like, it doesn't make us weaker. It's like pussy power is the greatest power on earth. And so I've got a shirt that's like, pussy, like I wear it on important calls just to remind everyone in the room like who's the boss, but it is our superpower. And so I think really defining the relationship between like I get to have these big feelings in business and cry when I want to, and recognize that this hurts different because I am the feminine. And you know, the essence of my being is to receive, and in business we can give a lot, right? We are constantly giving, and B, we are, like I said, the intuitive, softer, surrendered, playful, joyful vessels and energies of the world. So the biggest thing I will say, so I've been in business for 13 years, some tools and tricks. So being in business 13 years, had many ups and downs. On par, let me tell you, right? I will get knocked down. It's just that like I'm one up on the getting back up, because I've always still just gotten back up. But I have never burned out. And how I have never burned out, and this is a part of the tip and the trick, is that I never missed the point, right? I will never lose sight of like the fact that we are spinning on a ball of gas suspended in the infinite universe, you know, just tilted just millimeters, you know, away from the sun to not burn to death, suspended in gravity just enough to not freeze to death and you know, all fall out of the sky. And that, what is the point of it, right? For me is the feminine, and again, this is going to look different for all, but it is to find the joy and the juice and the magic and the fun, right? And so that day, like when I said I had an appointment, I was like, fuck this, I'm going to get a facial, right? And I left and I went and got a facial, and I was like, leave me be. Like I had a meeting, like leave me be, I'm going to get a facial. So recognizing and understand that being the feminine in business is our superpower.
Yes.
But also to look after yourself and to never miss the point along the way. And for us, that gets to look different. Look after yourself. Nourish your body, right? Nourish your mind, nourish your soul. And I've got a beautiful woman that works for me, Lane, and I'd flown her up from Melbourne recently in December to do a massive strategy day. And she was here for the weekend, but we worked, but I play all the fucking time. I prioritize pleasure as much as I prioritize profit. That is a superpower. And so she was here. And for me, it was very normal to like work and then go to the spa, or like work and then go have a drink, and work and, you know, go and have a long lunch. And I was just kind of dragging her along. And she reflected, you know, recently, because she's just been out, she's basically come on for me full time now. So she's just quit her job. And she said to me, like, the greatest lesson you learned, because I said, how's it all going the other day when I jumped on Zoom? And she said, it's been beautiful. And the thing that I'm most grateful for is that I had those days with you back in December, because she's like, that was the most uncomfortable thing for me in the world. Because as a woman, it's almost like I've always just like, I have to prove in my worth.
Yes.
And so like we overwork, we overcompensate, we over, mask. And you prioritize pleasure. Yeah. So she's like, I'm reminding myself that I can call in abundance and wealth. And also I can look after myself. And I was like, yes. Right. So that's the number one thing that I would say, the number one thing. The second thing I would say is also redefining the roles within self, the energies of the masculine and the feminine, which it's symbiotic to the first one.
Truly, yeah.
But I've got it, and you do too. I know that we're similar in this. Like I preferenced it earlier. Like I've got a beautiful relationship with my masculine inside, my energy.
Yeah.
So the healthy masculine energy is discipline. It is drive, it is structures, right? So I look at my business. So I've got all of that. I've got the masculine structure. I've got the masculine discipline. I've got the masculinity in the systems in my business, which is the like riverbank, right? And then when I want to show up as the water, the flow, the fun, the ease, the playful, if I want to take some time off, if I have a bad fucking day and I want to quit, right? I've got the riverbank to support it because I've built that discipline structure, systems, staff, etc. So I can go be the river, the water for a minute and go tap back into my essence as a woman in business, which is play and pleasure. And that is as fucking important as your profitability.
Yeah.
So there's that. I think we burn ourselves out and like, it's all too hard and fuck this shit. And like, why am I doing this? The answer to that question will rely heavily on how much you're missing the point in the other aspects of your life.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not worth it, right? And maybe it is too hard. But if you actually have all of those other pillars in your life set, it's okay. And then the third thing I will say, there's a very good reason why this is my wall of women. I'm not saying get a wall of women. You can borrow the idea. But this is my wall of women. So I have 12 women on my wall who are like my inspirations, the baddest bitches of them all, right? I've got Cleopatra, I've got Gorgo, I've got my mum, I've got everyone.
Yeah.
But I also have baby Anna.
Yeah.
So this is me, right? And so for me, everything I do, how I lead, how I love, how I learn, I'm honoring my inner child. And I think as the woman, it is so important, right? Whenever we respond in business or in life or in relationship from a wounded, it's too hard, fuck this shit. It's like, it's not us as the intellectualized, grown up, empowered woman. It's the little girl inside of us screaming, you've forgotten about me. What about play?
Yes.
Like I feel wounded. I feel abandoned. And I don't even mean self, right? If someone's done hard by us, if our contract has fallen through, if our profit that month has dipped, right? It's not us. And if we respond in that, like, this is too hard, I hate this shit, that response, it's not us as that intellectual, smart, wise woman. It's the little girl inside of us being like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
This is hard. So I have her on the wall for a very good reason. And I'm like, get a photo of yourself, put it where you will see her and love her, and ask her the question when you want to quit, like, do we really want to quit? look at her. She's like, no way, bitch, every day. Like, we're doing it. Like, we're doing the thing that you promised me that you would. And it's a no-brainer for me. So
I love this. And I do something similar. And I was asked at a business conference the other day, like, who's my inspiration and who I do it for. And I was like, 7-year-old me.
Yeah.
Because she deserves better. And why would I give up on her? Like, I'll give up on everything and everyone else, but I'm never giving up on me. And what does she want? She wants a better life. How do we get there? Freedom. How do we get freedom? We build it. And you're not going to build it by not having wealth and money. So I love that you brought that in. I also think it's crucial, this conversation around almost like balance is such a thrown away word, but what I witness in myself is very similar, is that if I don't have this harmony, and you speak to masculine and feminine, having a good relationship, one, I actually don't think I'm confident I wouldn't have called in my king if I didn't have internal harmony, because if you're shaming yourself for your work ethic, your drive, your discipline, your masculine traits, you're subconsciously already shaming your partner before they arrive. Mm-hmm. Because if you can't be in relationship with your masculine traits as a woman, then you will get pissed off at your partner if he works late one night because he has a deadline and he wants to provide for you. So he's working till 10 o'clock. You'll be there in the feminine being like, fuck you, give me attention. Mm-hmm. So you need to build this harmony inside of you to live in a harmonious relationship outside of you. So it's all interconnected. But my business strengthened in my polarity teachings and the work that I did because I stopped shaming my masculine. I stopped being mad at him, like my internal representation of the masculine, for being so focused on growing a business, for being so determined to get there. And it was so crucial and I feel the same in this burnout piece. For me, burnout is when I'm not in internal harmony. So similar to the little girl, and I can relate my feminine to being, there's the little girl, the teen, and the woman. But it's like burnout to me is you've got these two parts of you like trying to pull in different directions. Yeah. So you've got the masculine part, or like the high achiever, like boss babe, which is our masculine drivers, is like, I'm going to build this big business, like watch me go over here and do all of these things. And then we've got the woman that's like, nah, we're going to lay in the sun naked.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're internally fighting, then you're constantly exhausted. You do burn out because you focus on the wrong things. And I also think women, what I've witnessed in myself and others, is getting in a habit of doing too much of the wrong things. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's easy for me to help women work less because oftentimes they're doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing in the first place. And there's this like addiction to being busy and feeling needed and validated, because what would I fill my calendar with if I didn't have to do all of my own admin? Well, you would fill it with a spa day. You would fill it with a long lunch. You would fill it with things that actually filled your cup so you had harmony. But I witnessed this like internal patriarchy, like this internalized, we shouldn't like stop and smell the roses or have fun until we've made it to this unachievable place of success. And this was true for me in my previous businesses, is I never enjoyed the journey at all. And I landed in this 8-figure company and 5 houses and designer everything. And I was like, well, I've made it. And what do I do now? Because I hate my business. I hate my body. I didn't hate my husband, but I wasn't connected to my husband because I wasn't stopping. I worked 6 days a week. I never took any time off to do anything except for work. And I feel like if I had have been more actually presence, I think it was, if I'd have been more present in my life rather than on autopilot trying to build, then I would have realized along the way that I'd lost this. You were speaking to basically the purpose, your why. And I say your why needs to be stronger than your excuses, because in the moments when you are crying and like, fuck, how did I get myself here? You need to be able to wake up the next day and go, well, this is why I'm here. And I won't give up on me. Or, you know, for me, part of it is I live so long as a shell of myself, and I don't want women to live half lives or accept half love. And I feel so many women, and this was my story, compromise. Well, they call it compromise, but really they're sacrificing happiness. And you touched on it in the beginning, the soul journey, and I'd love to have another conversation about this, where my ex-husband and I, like, we co-parent great, we're friends, because nothing was ever wrong. Our journeys just ended.
Yeah.
But even I, for like a year before I left him, talked myself out of it, because I was like, well, he's kind and he doesn't abuse me and he does love me deeply. So why would I leave just because I'm not getting sex, which is what it came down to, which I now know was more than that. I was craving true intimacy and true depth. But at the time I was like, well, I can sacrifice, but I called it compromise. I can compromise sex because I'm loved. Mm-hmm. And so often, like, to weave it into what you were speaking to, I see this pattern of, I'm actually going to sacrifice my needs, my wants, and my desires because I should be happy with what I have. And it's impossible for me to have everything that I desire.
Mm-hmm. It's so true. And I will say, and this is probably this will definitely trigger some women, mothers, but I'm 30, like I said, I'm 38. We're just studying IVF. Very, very intentional for me. And so IVF, because Ryan's had a vasectomy. Fertile. We're both fertile. We just need science to put it together in the dish. But to speak to all of that and sort of put it in a bow, ultimately, entering motherhood. So I put myself first before business.
Yes.
I think that's the ultimate thing. There's no martyrdom. There's no masks with it. There's no sacrifice, etc. I put myself first before my relationship, ultimately, because how can I love you if I don't love myself? How can I want to give to you if I'm not giving to myself? Everyone only gets my overflow.
Yeah.
And the most important role of all of this that I'm stepping into is and I'm very vocal about this, and it triggers women all the time, and that's fine, and that's beautiful, and that's who I am. But I've said I will be putting myself first before my children. They will be loved unconditionally. It is an unconditional contract. There is a love I have heard like no other. Right? You will die for your child, right? And there's that viral thing that kicks off like over and over again. It's like, you say you would die for your child, but would you live for them as well? Yeah. And I'm like, yes, I would die for my child, but you better fucking believe I'm going to live for them first. And so a burned out, resentful, underpaid, underfucked, underloved, under everything, under mother is not a thriving mother at all. She's a burned out, resentful, exhausted from everything.
Bitter.
Bitter. And I feel for her more than any other human on earth. And then she's trying to mother. And so when I say it, women go, that you'll see, wait until you're a mother. And I'm like, it's just going to piss you off more when I yes, right. Wait till I'm a mother. And then when I model to you truly what that genuinely looks like. And this is a conversation I am relentlessly having with Ryan now. And he's in love with it. He's like, no, and baby, yes. Because I also don't want a wife and a mother that's burned out, resentful, I want a woman that's in her, like, that's the goddess that looks after herself in whatever capacity that looks like, so she can mother to the best of her ability. I can't even fucking get through a day if I'm bitter, resentful, burned out, upset, overworked, underpaid, right?
Truly.
Let alone keep another human alive. So
truly.
And then couple that with like being a businesswoman, and I've spent, all the entire 2025, I spent setting the structures, the system, the riverbanks of all the 4 companies to thrive and operate and have its systems and structures. So when I have a baby, I can literally take as much time as I want, and it will all still survive, which is beautiful, and thrive. But I think the number one thing, if we end it, because I know we're at the end of the hour, like the thing that women can take away the most, that inadvertently, I don't know if you meant for this, but like ties it all in a bow. If there's the common theme between the relationship, the business, mothering, etc., it is like itself.
Truly,
right?
Truly.
Itself.
It 100%. And in fact, when I lead, I'm actually leading people to self-responsibility. When I'm coaching, it's like, well, how do you have everything if you're not in relationship with yourself? And just to echo what you said, I am the mother that puts myself first. And for years, I wasn't actually when my son first came. And when I went on this journey and I had a 2-year-old, I actually took 3 weeks off every month, and I only saw my son a week out of those 3 weeks because I had to find myself again, because I'd lost myself as a mother, I'd lost myself as a business owner, I'd lost myself as a wife. And thankfully I have the ex-husband that I do, but when people would throw shade at me, I'd be like, I don't even know if I'll be on this planet anymore if I don't do this.
Yeah.
So my son actually does need me to go and find myself again, because if I don't, and I'm getting a bit emotional, like if I don't know how I'm going to show up for him, because I haven't showed up for myself for this is 6 years ago. So 32 years of my life. And I'm not modeling to my son self-sacrifice. I refuse to. And I'm the same. I say I love my son, and what I want for him is to know that he's loved without attachment, without like this need to prove himself to me in some way because he feels like he owes me. Because what I witness often, and what I was building inside of myself, was resentment towards my own child because I wasn't giving myself permission to be me. Mm-hmm. And when I had this like spiritual awakening, and my full goosebumps, I'm like, I'll be fucked if I'm going to resent him when he's 18 because I didn't follow my dreams and rebuild the company and find love again. Mm-hmm. Because I'm going to blame that on him if I put him first. And I hear it, like women in their 50s that are like, well, now my children have left home, I finally get to put myself first.
Fucking
and
wild.
Like, fuck my
wild to me.
Literally, like mad at them because, well, I invited my daughter over for dinner and she didn't come, and she's so ungrateful because what? Mm-hmm. So it wasn't unconditional love, actually, because you were a martyr as a mother. You've been clocking up all of these things that your children owe you because you stopped living your life to support them, and now you actually subconsciously hate them.
Yeah.
And and of course they love them, but there's a version of them that's resentful, and you see it in almost like parents that want to live vicariously through their children. And they do that because they didn't live for themselves, so they're expecting their kids to do it. But how do you expect your kids to do it if you didn't do it? Because you modeled self-sacrifice.
Yeah. Look, I'm living for this conversation. I'm like, this needs to be on every woman's ear, and it's going to activate so many
Let's do this on your podcast. We'll get on and
yeah, because I love activate, because any woman that feels angry right now or like, who the fuck does she think she is? She said it, but I back it 1 billion%. It's because the wound has been picked at inside of you, and you identify that there's part of what you have just said that is true, because truth resonates at a different frequency. And when you feel that truth, right, but you're out of balance with that truth, that's the pain, that's the trigger, that's the wound. So I see it every single day around me with and it's like my own mother. I had her on the podcast, and it's why, and I know that that's that generation, but imagine this generation. We are the generation breakers. We are the curse breakers. We are the generation, we are the ones healing, reparenting ourselves.
Really.
And I think also the last frontier of that is like women like us, especially that can model what it looks like to be a woman first, because we were born that way.
Truly, I say the same
we were
thing.
Women before we were mothers. So to remember that we were women first.
Yeah.
That played and loved pleasure and looked at like all the whatever turns you on, makes you hot and horny, right?
Yeah.
We were her first, and then beautifully, miraculously, stunningly, we had children.
Yeah.
Right? But we were that woman first. So who's
Truly.
that? How
and
do you
she
love
will
her?
hate you if you
and I say this in business. So to speak to like, what do we do in business? Like, so we don't quit and we don't give up, and those days, remember this ethos. It's this, right? Because I always say, people go, wait until you're a mother. And I'm like, yeah, babe. And like, wait until you run 5 companies. Like,
Truly.
Don't at me. Don't think I don't play ball. I play ball, right? Because I look at my companies as children. And I said it right. It's a 24-7-hour job, right? If I don't look after them, they die. I go bankrupt.
Yes.
So I know it's very different, but I'm like, it's still.
It is, but it isn't. And I'm a mum. And do you know what I get? Because I have such a good ex-husband. Well, it's easy for you because you have. No, because if I didn't have that, I'd fucking hire a nanny. I would I would do something. I would figure it out, because I'm not going to sacrifice the work that I've put into like re-become the woman that I am, to fall in love with myself again, to give that up for my son. I love him, but to your point before, I couldn't pour into him from that place. I couldn't give him my love and my time and my attention, because why would I go on this journey of self-love if it's self-love unless my son needs something from me? Like, I had this conversation with him last night. He's like, Mum, I want you to come to bed with me. And I was like, buddy, I love you, but I also love me, and sleeping in your room means I don't get a good night's sleep, and then I'm grumpy and tired tomorrow. So I hear you and I love you, but I'm sleeping in my bed, and that's my boundary, buddy. But we'll wake up in the morning and we'll hang out. And I'm educating him on, I hear you, I hear what you need from me, but I literally say to him, like, I can't give that to you because it means that I'm sacrificing something that I need to.
That is yes, queen, yes. And this is what I'm talking to Ryan about. I'm like, in my opinion, I think that the world has swung too far to conscious parenting. And I was like, actually, conscious parenting to me is mirroring to them, like, love, but also what a boundary looks like, and keeping safe within that boundary. And that is the divine example. But yeah, so what I was going to say with the business thing is, with the children, putting yourself first. With the business,
putting yourself first. Yeah.
So it's self. It's just
it's self.
And putting yourself first. And on those days that are hard and you want to give up, and it's dark and it's suffocating and it's debilitating and it hurts, and there's whatever it is, betrayal, in those moments, if you are depleted and empty and broken and you haven't been looking after yourself, and I get it, right? I get all the excuses, not reasons why, but you probably will quit, because I get it. And I get it. But when you are resourced and full, and you've looked after yourself, and you're looking after your physical, your mental, your spiritual, your financial, right? On those days, it's a moment, right? And then that's it. You can move on and you can go, but I am better than this. Same. And then mothering for me, I'm like, in the hard days, in the traumatic days, it's a moment, right? But because I'm a woman that will be looking after herself, it's a moment that I can get through and go, not, fuck this shit, I'm going to have a nervous breakdown. I watched my mum have a nervous breakdown. It was the most traumatizing thing in the world, right? Because I was like, oh my God, I'm unlovable. That's where my wound came from.
Truly.
Watching my mum have a full-blown nervous breakdown at 6 years old. And I was like, oh, it's all our fault.
Yes.
Like, we've done this to mum. We did. Like, right? Single mum of 5.
Because she wasn't well-resourced. And I say often, women to be successful need to be well-resourced. And I mean that in mentally resourced, physically resourced. Friendships, connections, partnerships, there's no other way. And especially when you become a mother, because that adds more complexity.
Yeah.
And I have adored this conversation. We could go on for hours. I am certain of it.
Yeah, I'm like, shit, we gotta go.
We gotta go. So thank you for being a guest. Where can people find you? I mean, Dream House in the Gold Coast. But
Instagram. My Instagram is my best. So Instagram at @thereal_Anna Rose, because all of the companies are my bio is just like all my businesses. And then me and my Instagram. So Anna Rose is just like the founder behind it all.
Yes.
Just behind the scenes of managing that shit show 7 days a week. So
yes, love that. I'm super excited to chat some more and to deepen. But yeah, this has been phenomenal. Thank you for your words, your wisdom, your heart, and your grace. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, beautiful.
Thank you for listening to Unmasked Founders with me, Leslie Kay. Follow Leslie Kay on social media for more insights, and we'll see you in the next episode. You can find me at Leslie with a Z, Kaye. Check the show notes for how to spell my name. Remember, true success is built from the inside out.